So java.lang package. So this is a base package, and the java.lang package is set as a default package, right? So today we'll see what is this package and how to use this package and all. So as we discussed, package is a set of classes and interfaces, right? So this is the one package which is a default package for each and every Java program, and this package contains the classes which are used to write basic Java programs, right? So out of this package we'll discuss some of the few of the classes here. As we have seen already, the object class, which is which acts like a super class for all the classes, which is also part of the same package, right? So we'll start with some other classes, like there is a class called a string class. We start discuss about this class, java.lang.string, right? It's the most important class. So this is coming to strings. Strings are defined as primitive data in some other programming languages. Coming to Java, strings are not primitives. Strings are objects, and they are objects of type. They are objects of type string type, right? So they are objects for a class called as string class. Now how to create the string objects and what is the specialty of this class is we try to learn today. So before moving on to the string class and all, so whatever the predefined classes you will get, all these predefined classes and whatever the classes which we get from Java, predefined classes, all these classes, everything is available for you in the form of API. That is nothing but application program interface, which is helps a programmer to use the predefined classes, right? I'm trying to open the API. This is freely downloadable. You can download it from the net here. So this is a Java 7 latest API, which includes all Java classes, right? API, right? I'm opening the API here, so that through this API we try to learn some of the classes. Now whenever you try to develop the applications in the real-time environments, nobody remembers all these things. Like if you take C here, so if you see this screen here, so there are three windows. This screen is divided into three different windows, right? At the top corner you can see the packages, list of packages, and at the bottom corner you can see the classes, and this one is description about your class and all. So this is divided into three different windows. Each window contains different things, right? So it is called as API specification. API stands for application program interface, right? So it acts like interface between program and the Java classes, right? If you want to write any application, any program, if you want to develop any applications, right? So this acts like interface between to develop your applications, right? All Java predefined classes about description about all these classes will be given in the form of API, and whatever the classes you write for your class also you can develop such kind of document, API document, right? So it is simply document here contains set of class and interfaces, and you will find each class, each and every class information, right? Now here I'm selecting a class called as java.lang. I'm selecting a package called as java.lang, right? Just click on this, so it is going to show its related classes in the bottom window. What is this java.lang here? Provides the classes that are fundamental to the design of what? Java programming language. So whatever the classes here you see in this, all these classes are fundamental to design Java programs, right? So this is the core package, and it is the default package you have for all Java classes. So as we have discussed, whenever a class is a part of package in the previous section, if a class is a part of package, that class should be imported, right? Then only you can use it. Otherwise you cannot use the classes without importing and all. But it is not applicable for this package. If you import the classes from this package, or if you don't import the classes from this package, for each and every Java program, these classes are by default available. That is the reason why this package is called as Java default package. Stands for language, java.language package. Now you can see here, if you scroll through this bottom pane, when you click on the top window, you will see bottom window with all classes and interfaces which are which are there inside this package, right? So these are the interfaces you have. These are the different interfaces you have, right? And these are the classes you have inside this package, right? So from this package I'm interested to discuss about a few classes here, right? So you can see here, you can see lots of classes here, right? What classes you can, So what classes you will know here. This is the one which did not discuss anything related to this, but I said this is a class which is acts like a super class for all the classes of Java, right? Now this is a class which I am interested to discuss. String is a class. String is a class from what? Lang package. So what is this string class? What is the specialty of this string class? Right? It is the most special class in the Java, and has a huge importance in the Java programming language. So whenever you work with the strings, so strings are not primitives. That is the first thing you need to remember. String data is not primitive data. Strings are reference data, right? String literals. All string literals in Java are implemented as objects of string class. Everything whatever you write, a group of characters, nothing but we say as string, and they are objects, and they are objects of a class called as string class. Now if you see the syntax of this class, what is syntax you have here? Public class, public final class. Yesterday we have discussed it. That means you cannot create a child class for what? String class. It is final. So if you want to access the methods of this class, you need to create the object for string class. From that object only you can access the methods of this class. And extends, very general syntax, as we have discussed. Each and every class of Java is a child class of what? Object class, right? So it is not different from that. So it is a final class. String is a final class, and it is extends object class, right? And it implements some interfaces. Now the interfaces are like a serializable and comparable character sequence. Like this you have few interfaces. It's a very plain class, as we have discussed. It is extending from a object class, and it is implementing some other classes, right? So a string, what is the meaning of a string? A string is nothing but a group of characters. A string is nothing but a group of characters, and whenever you define a group of characters in Java, these group of characters are nothing but we say objects, and objects of a class, and that is string class predefined, right? So this is what we have here. Now as we have discussed here, now whenever you want to create the object, just I'm writing a program here to work with this class. Public class string demo, or I would like to, whatever the class name we want to take it here, and I'm going to write a public static void main, right? So again here the main method takes array, and it is a group of strings. Yesterday somebody asked here, group of string objects. So group of strings is nothing but a group of string objects, right? Right, now here, as we know that it is a very common thing. If you want to create the objects for a class, if you want to create the object for a class, right? So as we know that we need to use a new keyword along with what? Constructor of that class. That is how we create the objects, right? So in the same way, if you want to create the object for this class, just if you scroll through this document, there you can see, you scroll through this document, there you can see here, right? If you scroll through the document here, you can see fields, nothing but instance variables, and this is a static variable of string class, right? Now here, see this list of constructors, right? So if you scroll through, there are some 16 to 17 constructors are available for this class, overloaded constructors, right? There are any constructor you can use out of this. This is a big list of constructors, and out of this big list you can use any one of the constructor to create the string object. A constructor with no arguments, a constructor with a byte array, a constructor with a byte array and one more object, character set object, a constructor with a byte array and a int, right? A byte array int and int, byte array int and character set, like this you have. So you can create the string objects by using any one of the constructor. So new, like this, new, and you can call any one of the constructor of that class, right? There is a no argument constructor, that is also fine, right? So this is creates a string object, but this string object contains no data. This is simply an empty string object which contains no data, right? This is an empty string object which contains no data here. right? Nothing, empty string, right? So any string constructor you can use here to create the object, absolutely fine. That's it's a group of characters, is nothing but a string. You can create a character array and you can make it as a string, right? So here let's suppose I'm going to use the character array to create my string. So first of all, let me create the character array, char of, right? So it is character array means what? Character, combination of characters, h, one character, e, one more character, l, one more character, l, o, right? A character array. So which constructor I am using here? Character array, let's suppose c, right? Which constructor I am using here? Now you can see this is the constructor I am using. Okay, are you able to see this? New string of a character array. I'm passing the character array as input to this, and this is a constructor of string class. I'm calling this constructor by using new keyword string, and I'm passing a character array to this. My character array is inside C. Now with this character array, it is going to create you a string object. Okay, right? So I'm using one of the constructor there. Absolutely, I'm using one of the constructor there. Nothing I'm doing there. There is a class. Just I'm checking what constructors are available for me, and I'm using one of the constructor to create the string object. Now let me print this object, system dot out dot println of str, right? System dot out dot println of str. Now let me see what happens here, right? Move to the location, and you have online classes, right? Java C string test.java. It's fine, compiled without any errors, right? So that means the constructor which I have used from that class is absolutely fine. Test, right? So it is displaying me the string. So it is converted all these individual characters into one string object, and it is displaying the content of that string object. Okay, so like this you can use any constructor, absolutely any constructor you can use to create your string objects. Yes, are you understanding this? Is it okay? So what is a string class here? The first string is a final class, so that you cannot create the child class for this, and which is a group of characters. So the same constructor I have used here. So character array I have created, and I have used that character. I have passed that character array to create a string object, right? So this is what you have here. So any constructor you can use. So there is one more constructor, again a string constructor, which takes again one more string object. So how to create it? So already I have a string object created for me, and I am going to use that constructor. How to create it? New string of, so it takes one string object as input. So there is already one string object is there with me. I'm just passing this. Okay, which constructor I'm using now? This is the constructor I'm using, string, which takes again one more string as input. So already I have created one string inside my class, and I'm passing this, and I'm going to create one more string object here, string str1. So just to show you, so you can create the object for strings with any constructor. So this class contains multiple constructors. Now this and that both objects contains the same data. Both objects contain the same data. This is s1 string str1, right? So very simple here. Both are containing the same data, str and str1, right? Both are containing the data as hello, right? So like this you can make use of any constructor, absolutely fine. Now the most important thing about this class is, right, now up to now we have whatever the programs we have written, we are keep on creating the objects and all, but here see this is a very important point which is written here. This is interview point of view or programmatical point of view, anywhere this is very important point to know. Strings are what? In Java, strings are constants. Strings are what? By default. By default every string is a constant. That means what? You cannot modify. Getting me? Strings are constants. That means Once it is created, yesterday we have seen, once a constant is created, you cannot modify. If you try to modify it, generally they give the error here. Now this is a very important thing here to understand. Strings are constants, their values cannot be changed after they created. Absolutely it is not possible to change the values once the string objects are created. Very important point to note here. So such kind of objects, generally the objects values. Now up to now we are creating the objects. Now if you take the example, in the previous sections we have created our own objects like account object or student objects like this, and we have taken a balance, right? Balance field, and whenever you want to modify this balance by depositing or withdrawing, you can change the value of this. Now this is what, so that is what we call a state change, but this is the different type of objects we will be getting. So whatever the objects we have created, the values of the objects can be changed. Such kind of objects are called as mutable objects. Muting means for changing. But once the object is created, this is today we are going to see one different type of objects here. The string objects are called as immutable. Immutable object. That means once the object is created, it is not possible to change the values of that object. No way. It is not possible to change the value of these objects. So such kind of objects are called as immutable objects. Now whatever the objects till now today we have seen, all objects I can change. The values inside this object I can change. So such kind of objects we call as mutable objects. Now whatever the objects we are seeing today, we are coming across one different type of objects today. They are immutable. That means once this object is created, you cannot modify the value of this object. Very, very, very important point. Right? What does it mean here? Let us try to do some experiments on this so that we try to understand what is the meaning of immutability of a string. Right? So let me write one simple program so that with the program we try to understand what is the meaning of immutability of this. Now here you can see, if you scroll through the methods, so this is what constructors, as we discussed. I have used two constructors out of these, and by using which you can create the objects. So this is the methods. The next section you can see in the document, methods section. Now if you scroll through this methods section, there you can find lots of methods here, right? One interesting method we try to see here, this is the one. What is this method is going to do? What is this method is going to do? Concat. Right? First of all, how to call this method? Right? First thing is, this is a method from a string class. This is a method from a class called a string. If you want to call this method, you require a string object. Right? That's the first thing. So I have a string object here. There are two string objects. I can use any one of the object here. Now I'm going to use the first string object. Okay. Let me comment this line here. So that is how we use the constructors. See the document. Now if you want to practice, if you want to learn the subject, this is the most important, working with API. That gives you more knowledge. API gives you more knowledge, right? str is the object, string object, and through this string object you can call string reference. Through this reference you can call the methods of string class. Now this is a method you have, concat method. I am calling this now, right? So string dot concat. So what is this is going to do? How to call a method? So this is the method name I have used, and this method takes what this method takes. This method again takes one more string object as input. Right? Simple. Whatever we discussed till date, I am doing the same. So I am using the class object to call a method. With that object I am invoking a method, and I am passing the data which is required for this method. I am passing a string data to this. Absolutely I am passing this. Let me pass how are you. So what I am trying to do here. So what is the concatenation method is going to do? So according to this definition, concatenates the specified string to the end of the original string. To the end of the original string, the other string will be appended. Right? And what is this method is going to return? This method returns a string value. Are you able to follow me? What I am doing here? Just I am trying to introduce you the API, how to work with this API. Okay. Just I am using the same simple logic inside this. These are the methods of string class. I am using the object of string, and I am calling the method of the string class. Just if you want to call the methods of this class, you require object and method name, and this method takes what? A string argument. I am passing it, and this method returns me what? A string argument. So I can store this inside a string. I can store this inside a string. So here, what is the concatenation method? Concat method is going to do here. If you want more information about this method, you can click on this method. So it is going to describe you. Concatenates a specified string to the end of what? The actual string. So like this you have, if the length of argument string is 0, then something you can read this description about this method and all, so that you can know more about this method. Every method will be described here. Every method, how it is performed and all, every method is described here. Just click on this method, you can see the document, right? So this is fine here. Now what is the output of this if I print? So what, according to the document, what it is giving here, so the original string, what is the original string? str is the original string. So to the end of this string I am trying to append how are you, right? So what I am going to do here, so the actual text I have inside this str is hello, and to the end of that hello I am trying to append how are you. But I said what? Strings are immutable. What is the meaning of immutable now? If it is possible to change the existing content, previously I said, right, here only it is, he has described here what he has described, strings are constants, you cannot modify the strings. That is what he said. But what I am trying to do here, I am trying to modify it. Then what is the meaning of immutability here? Let's see what happens here, what it is going to give me here. So str contains right, concatenating means what? I am trying to modify the existing content only, right? Concatenating means what? To the hello, actual string which is stored inside this str is hello, and I am trying to change it from what? Hello to how are you? Hello, how are you? Then I am changing it. Let's see what happens, so that programmatically we see. So this is the first string before concatenation, and this is what? After concatenation, right? So let me write before concatenation. It's very important to understand, right? And this one is after concatenation. Let me see what values I will get, so that you can clearly see. Rest of the code, everything I think I have commented. Yeah, only two system.out.println I have inside this. It's fine. Let me compile my program, and what I got, very interesting. Is it hello, how are you? No, right? Then what is the meaning of concat method? What it does internally? Are you able to follow me? You can see the clear output there. Still it is hello. Why it is still hello? Because it is constant. It cannot be modified. Then what is the use of this concat method here? Then what is the use of this concat method? What it is doing for me? Now let us try to understand this. Let me explain this. Right? So that is the meaning of immutability. It's a very important different kind of objects we have here, string objects. Now first my objects. So first my object, string object, is this one, let us assume, and it has a text called as, it has this text inside it. Hello is the text inside it. This is what I have inside this object, and this object is referred by a variable called as str, right? This is the object, this object is referred by a variable called as str. Now this is what I have. This is the first statement. Now when I use this is what I have here. Now what I did in my program up to this one, now what I did to the str, I am trying to add some new text, and this will be added to the end of what? Str. Now what happens here is, now it is not going to change this existing object. Instead it is going to create you a new object, and this new object will have what now? This new object will have hello, how are you? This is where you have the data. That is the meaning of immutability. Now this new object will have what? Hello, how are you? That's fine. But why it is again printing me hello? That is the question here. Now if you see my program, here, right? Now this is, you can understand this, right? So here, that is what here, key point here inside this program, why it is again showing you the hello. Now this is what, try to understand this, right? So str, now this is my picture here, right? See this, So this is what the first object created, which contains hello. It's fine. Up to this line, it's fine, I think, right? Now, when I am trying to concatenate it, the new object is created. Instead of modifying the existing object, the new object is created for you. Hello, how are you? But the interesting point is this new object is not referred by any reference. I did not assign any reference to this new object, right? Where is the reference to this new object? Did I store this new object into any reference? Did I assign any reference to this new object? No. That is the reason why still when I try to print this str is still pointing to what? Hello. Now what is the meaning of this? Still, if I refer this to str, now what is the meaning of this now? I am trying to create a new string object. So whenever you try to modify the existing string, now it tries to create what? New object always. Now this new object is referred by now what? Str. This new object is referred by str. Now what happens in this diagram here? Now str will last its old reference. str will lose its old reference now, right? It will lose this old reference now, right? And this str will have what? New reference. str will have what? New reference. Now if I print str in this case, what you will get here now? If I print str in this case, you will get, right, the new string, because old string is gone. Did you get here? Do you get what I am trying to explain? Yes or no? Yes, everybody? Yes. Now, for more clarity, let me do one simple modification here. Instead of storing this into the old reference, I am going to store it into one more object. So what is this now? If I print str and str1, what I will get here? If I print str and str1, what I will get here? str and str1. What I will get here in this case now? Now I am appending some text to the existing string, and I am storing that new string into str1. Now what is the output I will have here? Right? str will have a same text and str1 will have new text. Right? So that is the meaning of immutability. Once a string is created, you cannot modify it. If you try to modify it, yes, you can do it. If you try to modify it, instead of modifying the existing content, it is always going to create a new string. That behavior is called as what? Immutability. Right? This kind of behavior is called as immutability. Now you can see here. So both before hello and after still str is hello, but the new object is stored inside what? New reference. New object is stored inside new reference. Getting me? Right? So this is the meaning of immutability. This is the meaning of what? Immutability. That is a point here. That is the meaning of this point. Strings are constants. You cannot modify. If you try to modify them, instead of modifying the data in the existing object, it always creates you what? New object. Yes? Right? So that behavior is called as immutable. So these are the different kind of objects we are seeing, and very important objects coming to Java. Right? So this is how we work with strings, and all these methods are very same way. You can work with, if you want to know the character of a string, which is which is there in a particular index. As we have discussed, strings are what? Character array. So index starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when you pass the index, it gives the character from that position. What is that method? Character method. No, I did not mute it. There is a problem from that site. Which one I am using? The tool. I think you can hear, in the middle it is lost. Yes, it is a problem with the site. Right? Now it's fine now. Now that means what? So character method. If you see the char it method, right? So what is this method? How to call this method? This is a method from what? This is a method from string class. So in the same way, if you want to use this method, you require a string object. String object dot caret pass an integer data, and which returns you a character data. And if you want to know more about this method, just you can click on this method. It describes you what it is this method is going to do for you. right? So like this you have different methods, and the most important thing ends with this one returns you boolean, right? Like equals method returns you boolean. Like this you have lots of methods. So you can use any method out of this. In the same way, by using string object you can call them. If you want to convert a string to, no, yeah, it's allowed, no problem. It's fine, you can pass that, it is allowed, but there is no meaning. You need to pass the index position. That is also correct, whatever you passed, because characters can be internally converted to what? Strings. But that is not the exact way to pass it. If you want to show it, if you want to see it, I can call it str dot char it 2. So it is going to return me a character. From that string it is going to return me a character which is stored inside second index. What is that character which is there in the second index? 0 1 2 L. It is going to return me L, character inside the second index. You can pass anything which is convertible to what? Integers. You can pass bytes, you can pass charts, you can pass characters, everything can pass. Now in this case you will get the character as L. You will get L here. Now it is saying already defined because it is already there here. Let me take it as C1. Yeah, that is the same thing. There is a mistake here. Fine. C character is L. Right. So all the methods you can read about this, the classes description and all. Right. So this is the one way of creating strings, and to the programmer, one more mechanism, one more way is given to easily create the strings. It's not up to now we have seen that this is the one standard one we have seen. To create the objects we use a new keyword, and then we call the constructor of the class to create the objects. But coming to strings, there is one more special mechanism, one more special way which is given for the strings, especially for the strings. Instead of creating the objects like this, so this way whenever you want to create the strings, no need to use any constructors of that class. Directly you can create the strings like this. String str is double quotations, and you can directly assign this. It is something like what? When you talk about the primitive data, right? So how we assign the primitive data directly to a variable, right? When you directly assign a primitive data to a variable, in the same way such kind of syntax is given to you. So it is how you assign a primitive data to a variable. In the same way you can assign a string literal. What is this? String literal, and it can be directly stored inside what? String reference. No need of using any new keywords here, and this is the most preferred way to use the strings. Instead of going with constructors and all, this is the most preferred way to create the string objects. Same thing, whatever I did previously, everything is same, right? So if you want to find the length of this, so you can find the length of this string here, str data. There is a method given in the string class, length method. So if you want to find out the length of a string, there is a method given for you. The method name is length. So because strings has more importance, that is the reason why strings has more functionalities. That is the reason why Java people has made them as what? Strings, objects, right? So if the data is available, so what is the difference here in between these two things? This is a very regular data we use in our regular life, and these are also very regular data which we use. What is the difference between these two data? With this data you can call the methods, but with this data you cannot call the methods. You cannot call any methods with this data, but with this data you can call the methods. And if the data is available in the form of objects, that is you can use this data very easily instead of data in the form of primitives, right? So directly you can call this string object dot length, you can call it, right? Now I can see there, now you will get a 5 as length. Of course here I have written before, right? But it is what? Length. Same thing, you will get 5. Or if you want to do, so I am saying what? This is a string literal. So this is a very important point here. String literals are by default what? Objects. Now when you have an object in, directly with this object you can call what? the methods. Can I call like this? To uppercase. There is a method called as to uppercase. Is it valid? Can I call like this? To uppercase. Hello dot to uppercase. So string literals are by default objects and you can absolutely call it. And when you call the to uppercase, which will convert your entire string into what? Uppercase. And which returns you that uppercase as string. So this is the method I am trying to call. See this? So there are 2-3 operations I am performing in this. Trying to convert the string literal to uppercase. Because strings are objects, there is a method called as to uppercase. To uppercase. This one I have used. And this to uppercase method returns me a string and I am printing it. So this method converts entire string into uppercase and it returns one more string for me and that string I am printing. Did you understand here? Or if you are confused, let me split it into multiple statements. String upper. I am storing this. After converting into uppercase, I am storing it into what? One variable. And I am printing it. But your doubt is, can I call this directly with string? Let me print upper. It is wrong to call like this. Oh, you wanted to say method is wrong? Method is absolutely correct. So you wanted to say this is wrong to call? This is object. If this is an object, through this object I can call the method. Let me see whether I can call it or not. Oh, spelling mistake here. String. Fine. It is allowed me and it is converted also. Okay. Yes. If it is the case, now give me the answer. Give me the answer for this. To uppercase dot. To uppercase dot. Okay, to uppercase dot concat, right? Is it correct? This entire expression. See carefully and tell me the answer. So I wanted to say it is correct. Right? Yes, it is absolutely correct. So hello, it is converted to uppercase and the entire, this one returns you what? One string. That means what? One string object you will get. Through that string object again I am calling what? Concat method. Absolutely you can call it. Because this one string object dot to uppercase returns you one more string object. That string object dot concat. Absolutely it is valid. Are you getting me? And through this string object what you can do? You can call any method. Dot length. Can I call length here? Length method? Absolutely. But this length method returns me what? Not string here. It returns me an integer. Getting me? Is it correct or wrong? Yes, absolutely it is correct. You can do. String dot string class method gives you a one more string. That string object dot string class method gives you one more string dot string class method gives you an integer. Let me see here what it is going to give me. 9. Absolutely. Is it 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus. It's not 9, guy. It's not 9. It's more. It's more than that. It's absolutely more than that. You will get something around 11 or 10, 11 or 12. 12. It's not 9. Why not 9? Why 12? Don't worry, your answer is correct. Spaces. Here no spaces. There are 5, space 6, H7, space 8, or 9, 10, 11, one more space. Space is also treated as characters. Be careful there, right? It is 12. 6 here, I think 7 here, 5 here. Total 12. Right? So this is what? This is method chaining. Calling a one method from one other method, right? Now here, and such kind of methods. Now my question is very simple again. Now how many ways I can create the string objects? How many ways I can create the string objects? I have shown you some ways here. How many ways I can create the string objects? One way, by directly assigning a literal to a string reference, is absolutely correct. Only one way. Yes, by calling the constructor, absolutely. Second way. But still any other ways? Still any other ways? So two ways. But not only two ways you have, there are one more way you can have. So this is also the way you can create the string object. By calling the string methods, what are they written? Concat method is also returning me a string object. To uppercase method is also returning me a string object. Right? So this is a very important point here to be noted here. The methods of a class, right? This is the method if I take, right? The methods of a class which are returning the object of the class, right? Concat is a method of the string class and it is returning the same object. So if that method of a class, if you use any method of a class and if that method returns you the class object, its class object, then such kind of methods are called as factory methods. What they are called as? Factory methods. Static factory methods and non-static factory methods. I can say this concat as a factory method. Why? Because this is a concat method which is from string class. Again it is returning the string object. So I can say this method as what? Factory method. Though it is an instance method only, normal method, but if the method returns the object of the same class, such kind of methods are called as what? Factory methods. So to uppercase, yes, you can say it as a factory methods. Concat, you can say it as a factory method, right? Remember this point. So this is what about strings. One important point related to all this is strings are immutables. Remember this. Now here also I am created. How many strings will be created? When you convert it to S to uppercase, one string is created. When you append one hover you to this, one more string is created. And entire the new string length will be, right? I. So there are 3 strings. One is this one. When you convert it to uppercase, one more string. Capital HL, that is one more string. When you concatenate it, one more string. 3 strings are created there. Right? Take care here. There is a reason why they are called as what? Immutable objects. But here if you keep on creating the objects like this, what is the drawback here? Do we have any drawback with this mechanism? Right? So whenever you try to modify each time, it is obviously going to create you what? New object. That means what? If you think from the memory point of view, it is huge wastage of memory. So to overcome this problem, there is one more class is also given for us. That class is, right? There is one more class is given. That means what? Which is a immutable class, which also works with the strings only. But that is a mutable class. Mutable class means what? In the existing string, it is going to modify. In the existing string, the content will be modified. And that class is string buffer. What is this? String buffer. String buffer again works with the string objects only, right? Again, it is a final class and it is a thread safe mutable sequence of characters. Immutable sequence of characters is called as a string and mutable sequence of characters is called as a string buffer. Now how to create this, right? So you cannot directly assign a string literal to this. you can absolutely use a constructor. You cannot create like this. So absolutely you cannot create like this. What is the class name? String buffer. Some SB is equals to, you cannot assign it. This is not possible. Absolutely. Only that string class can be assigned like this. No other class in Java can be assigned like this. There are some few classes are there. Still you can use it. But string buffer cannot be assigned like this. If you try to assign a string buffer with this, it will, your compiler will not allow you to do this. No, right? Incompatible types. Why? Because this is string object, and string object cannot be referred by string buffer reference. How can you refer it? No, right? What is the object here? String object. How it is possible to refer it by using a string buffer? Seeing the same. But I found a string data and you are trying to store it in a string buffer. You cannot do it. If you want to store it, there is no way. You need to call the constructor of the string buffer class, and this is the constructor we have. String buffer which takes a string object, right? But it is also purely works with strings, but it is mutable. Now what is the meaning of this? Now if I try to modify this existing string, there is a method called as sb.append, same as string class. How we have a concatenate method here, you can see some kind of method here, append, which takes a string again, append which takes a string again and which returns you string buffer, right? So I am going to use this method, same as concatenate method, append. Again I'm passing one more string. What is that? How are you? Right, same as concatenate method I'm using this. Now let me print SB. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to print the SB. Now before appending, if you want to see, I want to see my string before appending. At the same time I want to see my string after appending. Same as string buffer, same as string, whatever I did with it. So this is before appending. What is it? SB. And this is after. Again SB. Right? Okay. I think before appending, after appending. I am not storing this into any reference here. Same whatever I did with the string I'm doing the same. It's fine. Is it appended? Right? So that means what? The same object is modified. SB is only modified here inside this. Right? This is mutable object. So whenever you have multiple modifications, it is always better to go for string buffer instead of string, so that the existing object will be modified. Right? Did you understand the difference between string and string buffer? When I perform the same operation in the string, the existing object is not modified. Instead, it is created the new object. But coming to string buffer, it is modifying the existing object. You would understand? Both works on the strings. One is mutable, one is immutable. Yes. What is your doubt? Yeah. You cannot create. Because the same thing here. How can you assign a string data to, this is treated as a string object. How can you assign a string object to string buffer? It is not possible, right? But there is a constructor is given. I am using the constructor. I am not writing my own. I am using the string buffer constructor where I have a string object which takes a string data. I am using it. I did not return that statement my own. There are 4 constructors, and out of these 4 I am using the one which takes a string argument. That's it. Right? Just I am following the API, nothing I am doing here. Just I am checking the constructors. If the constructor is available, according to that constructor I am creating the objects, and after object is created I am calling the methods. Nothing more I am doing there. Right? There are some methods again. So if you want to work with these methods, you need to go with string buffer objects. Almost all same methods you will find here. Right? Empty string buffer, nothing will be contained in this, no data. No data inside that. A string buffer with no data. Yes, empty. empty will be getting there. Without appending, if you want to print it now, here. Before appending, I don't have any data inside this. Is it empty string? To the empty string, it is appended. How are you? Right? Fine. Okay. So like this, you have strings. Very important class. Capacity, some integer, pass it and check it. That means how many string value, how many string characters it can store. Maybe. Construct a string buffer with no characters in it and specified the capacity. How many strings you can, how many characters you can store inside this. It's a character, right? By default, it is taking some size. This one is, by default, it will have 16 characters you can store inside the first one. See this, just go through this document, guys. Construct a string buffer with no characters in it, and initial capacity will be what, 16, so that you can store 16 characters inside it. And if you want to store more, you can go with it. That's your choice. Yes, works. Then after this, into this string buffer, you can store 18 characters. You can store 18 characters into it. More than that also, it is increases its memory. No problem. If you store more than that also, it is increases its memory. Yeah, you can store anything. Absolutely. More than that, it is increases. By default, it will have 18 capacity. If you try to store more, also it is going to increase its capacity. Try to do some experiments. Then you will know more. That's what I introduced this API. Right? Otherwise, I could not introduce this API to you. I just blindly can explain one or two methods. This is, I can explain this is string class, that is end. That's what till now I explained the same. In the same object, it is going to modify, that is called as mutable. String buffers are mutables. Means what happened when I created my string buffer object. When I created my string buffer object with hello inside it. With hello inside it. Now when I modify this string buffer, it is appending in the same memory location, it is modifying. It is doing how are you. It is appending how are you here only. But it is not doing with the string here. What it is doing? When I append new thing, it is creating a new object. Modifying the existing object is called as mutable. And if it is not possible to modify the existing object, it is called as immutable. So it is not possible to modify the string. If you try to modify it, it is always creates a new object. This is what previous example. And this is with string buffer. It is modifying in the same object. That is string buffer. Okay. So that is what you have here. And still we move on to see one of the most important class, that is what you have, the super class for all the classes, object class. So directly or indirectly, this class acts like a super class for all the classes, whether it may be direct or indirect. Every Java class, whenever you say a Java program, whenever you say a Java class, every class is a super class for every class has a super class, that is a object class. String builder, it is same as string buffer, both are same. String builder and string buffer both are same, with slight difference. One difference is there between them, just you identify that difference. Both are same. If you see those classes, string builder and string buffer, you will find almost similar methods. Everything is same. One simple difference is there, you will not understand now if I explain that also. That is related to threads, multi-threading, right? So class object, the class object is the root for all classes in Java, and every class has an object as superclass. All objects includes anything, any objects in Java includes what? Now whatever the objects we have created, arrays also objects, everything in Java, every object in Java will have a superclass. That superclass is what? Object class, and it has its own constructor, and you can create the object by using this constructor. Right? It has several methods here. So clone means what? So and the methods of this class. So as we have discussed in the inheritance, whenever you have a superclass, and superclass methods can be called with child objects. That means whatever the methods you have in this class, each and every method can be called by any Java object. Getting me? Because it is a superclass for all the classes, and each and every method of this class can be called with any Java object. That is the meaning of this class. These methods, whatever you have, some 13 methods are there here inside this class. All these 13 methods can be called through any Java object, any Java objects, right? So clone method, what is this method is going to do here? Clone method. So it is going to create a duplicate copy of what? The existing object. If you want to create one more duplicate copy without using new and all, so it is going to create a duplicate copy of that object. That is what? A clone method. So object.clone, which returns a superclass reference, right, and it creates a duplicate copy of that, right? So just experiment with this method. Equals, what is this method is going to do? Compares two objects. If the two objects are same or not, it is going to compare. References, it is going to compare the references of two objects. If both references are referring to the same object, if both references are referring to the same object, then it is going to return true. If both references are having two different objects, then it is going to refer false, right? It is going to refer, it is going to give the false. Two references, compare the object references. If two references are pointing to the same object, as we have discussed, it is possible that two references can point to what? Same object. If both references are pointing to the same object, this equals method returns true. If both references are pointing to two different objects, this equals method returns false. There are different cases are there, right? With this we will see that later, right? Finalize, very important, though we are not going to use it. It is not recommended to use it. Now till date, whatever the concepts I have explained, I am talking about only creating the objects, right? I am talking about only creating the objects. Nowhere, no day I have discussed deleting the objects. So what is the meaning of objects? Object is a collection of data, and collection of data will be, right, this collection of data occupies some memory. Now if I keep on create the objects, what happens? At some time memory will be full, and if the memory will be full, it's not possible for me to create the objects. So what it is going to do? Is there any mechanism is given for me to delete the objects? In some other languages, yes. It is the programmer's responsibility. The programmer who created the object, it is the responsibility of the programmer to delete the objects also. But in Java, this deleting the objects is automated. This complete process is automated. So Java uses an automatic mechanism to delete the objects. That mechanism is called as what? Garbage collection. What is that mechanism is called as? Garbage collection. So garbage collection is a mechanism. It is some kind of a program, you can say, you can imagine in simple. That is a program which is going to run continuously. Not continuously, based on time period, this program is going to run. And once it is runs, it is trying to collect the objects, unused objects. It is going to search for unused objects in your programs, and it collect all those objects, and it deletes the objects from the memory. That process is called as what? Garbage collection. Right? So that process is called as garbage collection. So what is the meaning of garbage collection? So in Java, the deletion of objects is not responsibility of the programmers. Simply it is completely automated process. So already there is some kind of program is written for you, which is going to run based on time periods, and when it is runs, it is going to delete the objects which are not used, or which are not having any references. Objects without references. In the previous example, we have seen. Now, right, whenever I expand the string objects here, so the new object will be created, and this object will not have any reference, right? So this kind of objects, if the object which is not having any reference, then this object is said to be what? Garbage collected. This is a one point here related to garbage collection. This is the one way it is going to do. The objects which are object is there in the memory, but it is not having any reference. That means what? The object cannot be reached. The object cannot be reached, that is treated as what? Right? Garbage collected. So garbage collector is going to identify such kind of objects, and before deleting the object, it is going to call this method. Before deleting the object, it is going to call a method. That method is called as finalize. Don't get confused here. There is a very important interview question. What is that? Yesterday we have come across one keyword called as final. Final. It is used with variables and classes to define some constants. And finalize is a method. It is a method. Finalize is a method which is used in the process of what? Garbage collection. Whenever the objects are getting deleted, right? So whenever the objects are getting deleted, before deleting the object, it is going to call this method, right? It is going to call this method to check whether this object is having any other references and all. And if any other references are there, it is going to delete those references first, and it is going to delete this object. That is where you have this. And this is one more method, gets the class, get class, returns the class object, hash code, returns the address of your object, hash code of your object, notify all, yes, used on the object, but a special scenario we use it. We'll see them later when we discuss. This is the concept which comes in multi-threading, and the most important method is this one, toString. What is this method? toString. What is this method can do for you? Right, toString is a method which converts any Java object. Just remember this. Any Java object in Java, any object in Java can be converted to a string object. It's a very important point. Any object in Java can be converted to a string object with this method. Right? So very important method in the object class, toString method. So what is the meaning of this? Any Java object will be converted to a string. That is the meaning of toString method. Just do some research on this method. Try to surf the net to know more about this method, because it is the most important method you have in this class. toString and equals is the one more most important method, and hash code. These three methods are the important methods out of in this class, because generally we use these methods in the development environments. Equals, hash code, and toString. This is a very commonly used method, toString method. Right? So because these are the methods present in the object class, and I'm saying each and every class is a child class for object class, and absolutely you are free to override all the methods. But it's not recommended to override all the methods. Most of the cases we will be overriding string method, toString method, equals method, and hash code method. Right? But most cases we will override toString method. In some cases we are going to override equals method and hash code method. There's a special scenario you have when to override equals and hash code method. Right? So this is one more class you have. And what other classes you have? The important classes, the system, right? System.out.println. In the system.out.println, again system is a class from lang package, right? Again it is a final class. It is a final class, right? So it contains several useful methods, and you cannot create the object for system class. Though it is not abstract class, you cannot directly create the object. So it means what? You don't have any constructor. It has a constructor, but this constructor is private constructor. There is a meaning. You cannot create the object for string class. Don't think that it is an abstract class or interface. No, it's a class only, but they are not directly given you to create the object. See there are no methods. There are no constructors you can see in this. There are no constructors you can see in this class, right? So this class also have some, and very important, see, this class has all static methods. All methods of this class are static methods. So that means how to call these methods? How to call these methods? Static methods of a class, how to call them? Yesterday only we discussed statically. Static methods of a class will be called through class name dot. What do you see? Dot. Right? So class name dot you can use. There are lots of methods in this class, right? So these methods are, so there is one method if you want to terminate your program. If you want to terminate your program explicitly, you can call exit method, system.exit, which calls which terminates your program. When your program is under execution, if you want to forcibly terminate your program manually, then you can call this exit method. GC, there is a system.gc. This method is making a request to run the garbage collector. So as I told you previously, garbage collector is one which is going to run the time period. We are not responsible to call it. A Java virtual machine is going to run this garbage collector based on the time periods and all, right? But you can make a request to garbage collector by, you can make a request to Java runtime by using this GC, and you cannot say that it is going to run that garbage collector. You cannot guarantee that if you make the request, your request may be accepted or not. Now, if you want to know the time of your machine in the form of long format, current time in millis, right? So current time in millis. So it is going to return the current time of your machine in the form of what? Long. Right? How to call this? Again, static method, system dot current time millis. System dot current time millis. It is going to return the time in the form of what? Milliseconds. Long. Right? So again, one more interesting method here, you can see copying the arrays. One array, if you want to copy the one array from other array, you can use this method. Right? So to know about your system environment, actually this class is given to know about your system environment. So this class is given for you. Right? So environment means what? Let's suppose I would like to show you one method. Let us try to call here get property. Yep. I'm going to call this get property method, just one thing. Now I would like to see what is this get property method is going to give you. This get property method takes a key string. Don't see the key here. It takes a string and it returns you a string. It takes a string and returns you a string. Now if I want to see, so yesterday we have discussed class path, environment variable, right? Key and value pairs. So which should be set in the system so that your Java programs can run. Just let me see what is my class path of my system. So system is a class which contains all static methods dot get property. If you want to know about your system properties, there is a meaning of system class. Get property. Now I would like to know about my class path of my system. Class path. And it returns you a string. And I'm not going to store the string, just I want to print it system dot out dot println. Just I would like to print it. Right, so let me compile my program. String test. Absolutely fine. Null. There is no class path, it is saying. No class path. Maybe wrong name. Let me use entire capital letters. It's saying you don't have any class name, class path. No, it is also null. Is it really null? No, nothing is set here. There is a reason why it is returning you null. Oh, it's fine. You have a class path here. Then why it is not giving? System.get property class path. It's fine actually. Maybe something is mistake. It is correct only. It should return me this value actually. Giving me null. Okay, let me check how it is gives this class path. Like this, you will have some system settings. If you want to get them, so you can get it. Right. So like this, you have fine. So this is one more class, system class. Now, can you say what is the meaning of system.out? Anybody? What is the meaning of system.out? By seeing that syntax, just I'm not asking what it is going to do for you. What actually that system.out? Now technically I'm asking, what is system there? It is a class. Then dot out means what? Everything is programming. Don't assume. No. So technically I'm asking, system is a class. Whenever you call something by using class name, Whenever you call something by using class name, it becomes a static variable or static method of that class. See the system class, static variable out. Out is a static variable of system class. That is the reason why we are calling this with class name. What is the println? We'll see later. System.out means what? It's a static variable from system class. That is the reason I am able to call it by using class name. Whatever you call by using class name, they are statics, blind point. Whatever you call by using object reference, they are instance methods. Very simple difference you have. Getting me? Whatever you call by using a class name, that is static only, that is a blind answer, by default answer. System.out I am calling out is a variable and I am calling through with system class. Right? So this is a one more class we have. So still lots of classes are there to be discussed in this. Right? So if I want to discuss some other classes, yes, one more important class concept is there to discuss about this. Right? But it takes me minimum 1 hour time to discuss that. Right, before closing this session, now I would like to put one simple question just to do a research on this very important question again. Right, my question is this one, very simple. Before that, let me open one class which I think yesterday I have created it. Come on. Is it there? Yeah. Account class, right? Now what I'm going to do here is, see this. Yep. How to create the object for account class? I would like to use this constructor to create the account class object. So I need to pass number, name, balance, right? Simple. Now I'm going to do this. See this? SCCOUNT account. SCC is equals to what? New account. 1 comma ABC comma balance. Is it the third one is balance? 100. What I have here? Long, string and double. Fine. Now I have created my account object and I am going to print my account object. Nothing I am going to do here. Just I would like to print my account object. It's a very important question I am asking and I want everybody to, I want answer for this tomorrow. Now this is my account object, I am printing it. Okay, fine. ACC. Right? In the same way, I am going to create a string object. str is equal to what? New string of hello. Both are objects only, but one is predefined, one is user defined. One is created by this is one object is my own class object, one is object of predefined class. Now here I am printing str. Right? Just I did not do anything. I created my object and I am printing the object reference. Here also I am created a string object. Here also I am printing the object reference. Now what I want to do here is just I want to compile this. Okay, fine. It's fine. Program is fine, but just printing some extra statement, I would like to remove it. Now, did you see any difference in the output? Right? Clearly there is a difference in the output. What is the difference you have in the output? I am printing both objects. I am printing both objects, but one is given me the content inside it. Hello is the content inside string object. So it is giving me the content. But when I print my account object, it is not printing the content of account. Instead, so if it is prints the content, I should see 1 ABC and 100. Instead it is printing the address, class name and its address, object reference address. I don't want to see this address here. In the same way how I am getting this content of string class, I would like to also see my account class content. When I print ACC without calling any methods, when I print ACC like this, I want to see what is the data inside this reference. What is the data inside this object? Want to see 1 ABC 100. It's a very simple thing to do, and do this experiment and give me. Because when I'm printing str, what is giving? It is not giving the address of that object. It is directly giving the content, right? At the same way, when I print my object, I don't want to see the address. I want to see the content, right? It's a very simple thing, and you need to do some research on this, so that only you will get it. It is otherwise you will not get. And a very important mechanism also, right? So that I would like to stop the session today, because I can discuss one more topic, but it takes me 1 hour minimum. So that is the reason why I'm going to stop it. So tomorrow we try to. Right. So we have discussed again. Just let me introduce one simple card, because we have short of time. So let me introduce one or two features which are there of Java. Right. Now, public class. Yes, you can document this. You can download this document from online. Absolutely, it is free of cost. Go to the Oracle site, just type Java API, you will get it. Absolutely freely downloadable, the document. I cannot share it because it is 200 MB. I will give the link tomorrow. If you face the problem to download this document, I will share the link tomorrow so that you can use that link to download it. No worries. Fine. One more topic which is introduced in 1.5. Now let me write like this. So if I want to call this method, how to call this method? Very simple question. Fundamental. How can I call this method? Come on, speak out fast. How can I call this method? What happened, guys? How to call a method of a class? Don't know. You want to call a method of a class, you need to create the object for that class. New var args. Through this method I can call it, right? V dot. What is that method name? Method itself. And if I want to invoke it, I need to pass 10. Some integer value, not 10. I need to pass some integer data. Right. Oh, it's not a string test, right? Sorry. Right. But at the time I can pass only one. If I want to pass group of data, group. I want to pass multiple integers. Sorry. I want to pass multiple integers. Then how to pass multiple integers? Comma separated values. Int a, comma int b, comma int c. That is the one way. Still in other ways you have. Come on. Still in other ways you can have. If I want to pass multiple integers, you can pass by int a, int b, int c, like this, or group of integers you can pass. Array, absolutely correct. If I want to pass int array, int of some I is equals to, I am creating an int array 1 2 3 4 5, and now you can pass I. Passing by object. Arrays are objects here. Remember, it's not a simple data. Now if you want to get the data, so you can go for, if you want to get this data, I'm going to get this data by making use of a for loop. You need to iterate through the loop. Index starts with a 0 and index will be less than always the length of the array. So what is my array name? My array name is length a, and I need to iterate through this index so that I will get the each and every value from this. System dot out dot println af index. Right, just I am printing the values, nothing, a simple for loop I have written to print the values. Fine then. Right, you got all the values as a group of values you can pass here. As a group of values you can pass. If you want to pass multiple integers instead of passing individually 5 values, and I can group the values. What is the advantage? You can go with not only 5, you can keep on add the data to this, and you can pass as at the same. That's 6, 7. Now you can simply increase it, and that accepts how much data you have, that much is going to accept it by that A, and it is going to print it. But it is fine, it's fine, right? If I want to pass group of similar data, so you can pass it as integer. But still one simple drawback is there inside this. What is the simple drawback here inside this is, I need to create the data first. I need to create the data first, then I need to pass it. But without creating the data, in the previous situation what I did? I did not create any data separately, just I am able to directly pass the data. But here I need to create the data, then I need to pass it. Now I want what? I don't want to create an array. I don't want to create an array, but I want to pass group of integers. Getting me? I don't want to create group of data here, but directly I want to pass group of values to this. Getting me what I am trying to do? Right? It is possible, and it is introduced in Java 1.5. Right? So that is called as variable length arguments. So this is a variable. A is a variable which takes integers, and it is not only going to take integer, 3 dots, exactly you need to use 3 dots, indicates what? Group of integers. It is going to take group of integers. Right? Now whenever you want to pass the data, no need of creating the data here, absolutely you can pass all the data at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See this. Try to understand the difference between previous mechanism and this mechanism. So I have created a variable, and this variable can take, and very interesting is, it can take 0 to n integers. It can accept 0 also. That means what? This method can be invoked without passing any data. Right? So we'll see, I am passing 5 integers here. Save it. I am passing 5 integers here directly, and my method is not having any 5 integers. I don't have int a comma int b comma int c. No, right? So there is one way you can take by declaring 5 integers, int a, int b, like this. But I am having only single variable, and I am passing 5 integers. Let me see what it's going to do. Same, right? If I pass more, I'm trying to pass more here. Is it going to accept? It's accepting. Very interesting, right? So this is called as what? Variable length argument. What it is called as? Variable length argument. So if you have the same data, it is possible to pass the same data. If you have same data to be passed, right? And in previous versions you need to create the array, then you need to pass it. Now it is not required to create the array and to pass the data. Direct you can pass the data, and all data will be taken in the same variable, right? And very important, as I told you, this method can be called without passing the data. Without passing the data also this method can be called. Right? Just I'm writing some staging statement here so that I can clearly see. Method is called. Let me see whether that method is called or not. Method is called, but no data is there. There is a reason why you are not, it is not printing any data. This for loop is not executed because no data is there, but the method is called, right? If I pass 1, now the data is there, it is iterating, the method is called. Very interesting, right? So you can call a method and you can have a variable, and this variable can accept 0 to n values, and this variable can be any type, right? You can have a string, you can have a character, you can have a boolean, you can have your class, and everything you can have. And such kind of variable is called as variable length argument. Variable length argument, it is going to adjust its length according to what? Variables, data, how much you pass, right? So internally what it is going to do for me, it is not doing here. See how I have get the data, that is very interesting point here. How I have taken the data from that, I have used the same array logic. Yes or no? I did not use any separate logic to get the data. Yeah, it is also valid. You can pass anything, right? How I have extracted the data, I have extracted the data by using what? Array. So what it is doing here, so in the previous case I am creating the array, I am passing it. But here in this case what it is going to do, whatever the data you pass, all this data will be converted into what? An array. It is internally converting this data into what? An array, and that array is passed here. It is array only, again group of data, but the array is created for me by the Java. Here in the previous case I have created the array, but here all this data will be appended into one array, and that array is passed. See this? That is the reason my extracting logic, the data extracting logic is same from the same array. See, a dot length. A dot length means what? Array dot length. A of index, from where we write such kind of logic? In the arrays only. To get the data by using indexes, right? So internally it is creating the object for me. Absolutely you can have. No. You cannot pass any data. It is takes only integer data. You cannot pass any other data apart from integers. Nothing. If you want to specify, you can specify. Yes. You want objects, write an object array. It takes only objects here. No problem. But this syntax, whatever I have written, accepts you only integer data. 1 to 0, 0 to n integers. See the type of data, how it is going to take boolean. How it is going to take a string? No, not possible. It takes only integers, because it is an integer array internally. Integer array always takes what? Integer data, right? So internally it is an array, right? Now I can replace this here. I can absolutely write in the main method also. I will have a string array, single dimensional string array. Now I can replace this with what? This variable length arguments. Absolutely it works. Wherever you have a single dimensional array, you can replace it. See, the program is executing in the same way. Right? String array. It is internally string array only. Single dimensional string array. Right? So this is what I have. It's absolutely fine. Can I have normal parameters? If I want to add one more parameter to this, is it possible for me? Let's suppose I want to take a string. A method can have multiple parameters. Is it possible for me to add a string here? Is it allows me to add a string here to this? Yes, it allows you to add a string. That means now if you want to call this method, at least one string must be there. Minimum one string must be there. Then passing the data to this A is optional. That's your choice. You can invoke this by passing the data, without passing the data, but string must be there. Okay, right? Now can I write like this then? Int I. Can I write like this? Int I comma int A, but one is only one value takes, the other one takes 0 to n values. Is it right to write like this? Right? So this is also absolutely correct. But you should pass at least one integer. Without passing an integer, it cannot be invoked. That int I, that is must. Int I must be must. So variable length arguments cannot be applied to given types. Right? See here it is saying one integer is required, one integer array is required. But you are invoking this method by passing no arguments. Right? So if you want to pass, you need to pass at least one. And the data will be stored inside what? I, not into A. And after this, whatever the data you pass, this data will be stored into what? A. After this, how many integers you pass? This 1 and 2 will be stored into A, and this 10 is stored into what? I. If you want to see there, I am trying to extract the data from only integer array. I am trying to extract the data from only integer array. I am not trying to get the data from I am trying to get the data from only A. See, 1 and 2 only you get, because I got the data from only A. I did not take the data from I. So 10 is passed into what? 10 is passed into integer I, and 1 and 2 are passed into A. Now if I reverse it, is it possible? Simple question, analysis. If I reverse it, what happens here? How to invoke this method? How to invoke this method now? Right? So it is not valid, because it is not valid to write it. Because whatever the data, how much data you pass here, all data will be stored inside this A, and how to pass the data to this I, not possible, right? So that is a technical rule you have. Whenever you have multiple arguments, the variable length argument must be the last one. The variable length argument must be the last one, last argument of your method. That is the first rule you have. And the second rule is, you can have only one variable length argument. You cannot have more than one variable length argument. No, it is not valid. Only one variable length argument is allowed for a method, and it should be the last one, right? So this is one Java 1.5 addition you have, variable length arguments, right? Now this is one. Now I am going to introduce you one more Java 1.5, right? Updation. So that is enhancement to the existing for loop. Now here, if you see this for loop, how I am writing this for loop. Now you know that this A will contain all integers only. A will contain all integers only. Now I am writing a logic. I am starting fetching from this array with 0, and I started checking the index, and I am incrementing the index, and then I am getting the data. Huge logic. I myself am writing the index position, and myself I am checking the length. I am getting the length, and I am increasing the length each time, right? So instead of doing this all complex logic manually, initializing the array with index with 0, and getting the data from that index, then after then increasing this index, there is one more alternative given. It works with only similar kind of data, right? So here, see this, I am going to get from each element, from each index position, I am going to get what type of data? Integer data. And what is the array you have? A. It's called as variable length argument, and this is called as what? Enhanced for loop. And it is always used with group of data only. Remember this, guys. This cannot be used as a normal for loop. Right? What is the meaning of this? Get the data from array A, get the data from array A, and copy this values into what? I. So it is going to start with, it is same as what this one, but that means what? It starts fetching the data from A with index 0. No need to write your index, and one value will be copied into what? I value, right? So I am going to print the I. What is going to do here? What is this enhanced for loop is going to do for me? It fetches the data from A, from 0th index, that value will be copied into I. Then it fetches the data from first index, that will be copied into I. Second index, that will be copied until the array length reaches to end. It is going to copy the values. Once it is reaches to end, comes out, right? Let's see the same output. You can see anyway, variable length arguments, and this is the compile it, execute it, the same output. How much data I have passed? 8 values. No need to write any conditions. It is automatically starts iterating from first element, and very important thing, it starts iterating from first element and it stops last element only, right? It is the alternate. You cannot stop in the middle. If you want to stop forcibly, you can break it, right? But you cannot stop in the middle, and you cannot jump to any particular index position and all. It starts fetching from first index and it stops at last index. So what is the advantage you have? No need of initializing the index, no need of checking the length, no need of incrementing the length, no need of getting the values from indexes. Everything it is internally doing for you. Very simple, but it works with only group of data. It is not meant for writing basic for loops. Remember this. It is not meant for writing basic for loops. It is called as what? Enhanced for loop or for each. Right? If you want to iterate through group of elements and use it for only getting the data. If you have a group of data, from that group of data, if you want to get the data, then only it is used. You cannot use it for writing basic for loops. Right? So these are the two simple features here which are introduced in Java 1.5. Only two simple features that are there. Right? So we'll discuss them later.